At its most basic level, the mudflood Tartarian conspiracy theory is that satanic forces have deliberately hidden the existence of the Tartarian civilization which, apart from building neoclassical-style buildings on nearly every continent, successfully harnessed limitless energy and distributed it free to all its citizens via cathedrals and sacred temples. And even more astonishingly, actual giants roamed the earth and may have lived in gargantuan brick buildings which were later melted by mysterious processes, forming today's mountains. Yes, that's right, mountains are actually melted buildings. And there are also giant trees and giant animals that were eventually turned to stone. However, said satanic forces decided to eradicate this fantastical world, and one day they somehow initiated a civilization reset, causing everyone to forget what happened, followed by causing, again via totally unknown means, an immense mud flood that was sent right across the world to bury all traces of this advanced empire. The conspiracy theorists see ornate neoclassical buildings on the internet and instantly announce them to be examples of Tartarian architecture, hiding in plain sight, yet mute, until now, of the cataclysms they witnessed. And since we generally don't build in the neoclassical style anymore, the conspiracy theorists take this as evidence that either we can't, or that we didn't build them in the first place, that it was instead the Tartarians who built them, and we simply claimed them as our own later on. But you know what? It really doesn't matter what they believe, for the simple reason that it is all, of course, made up, and is no more real than Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. It's a complete fiction that grows and changes with each person who tells it. We aren't dealing with a topic that has measurable data or quantifiable analysis. Mudflood and Tartaria are solely the products of people's imaginations, and each person sees it in his or her own way. Like most conspiracy theories, it is about fear and paranoia, fear of government, fear of intellectuals, fear of science, fear of technology, all of whom they see as being complicit in this great deception. What does matter, though, is why. Why do some people believe this gobbledygook? And to understand that, we must examine who these people are. As diplomatic as one can be, believers in Mudflood and Tartaria tend to be from that great pool of underachievers within our society, and who can be divided into two main groups. First of all, you have the fundamentalist right-wing Christian conspiracy theorists, the kind of people who see themselves as being superior to all others because they have biblical truth, in whatever ways they choose to interpret it, to suit their own peculiar conspiracy theories. These are the people with a persecution complex and pronounced paranoia, people who see shadows around every corner and who think that evil forces are about to take over the world. They believe everything is a lie and that everything has been faked, and only they can see the truth. They simply cannot distinguish between what is real and what is fantasy. It's no wonder then that members of this group often also subscribe to things like flat earth and creationism. These are the people who either have had a minimal education or who are not intellectually gifted. Substance abuse, tabloid news, menial jobs, run-ins with the law are common elements of their lives. They really don't have much going on and therefore are often easily influenced and led, and quickly become zealous proponents of whatever conspiracy theory they happen to be duped into accepting. Additionally, each group assumes the mantle of being woke, and consequently this inflated sense of their own superiority encourages them to yell their beliefs with total conviction and authority, despite not having done any research, other than just looking at photos on the internet. It is this combination of their own self-importance, their religious convictions, and their combativeness that makes them shout down and even threaten those who disagree with them. So let's see their thought processes in action. This is a Tartarian building. It was built hundreds of years ago. There's no way we can build something like that today. I know, I've done the research. Actually, it's the Queen Victoria building in Sydney, and it opened in 1898. I have photos of its construction. Those photos are fake. Clearly, you're a government agent paid to spread lies. But there are many documents pertaining to the building, its design, construction, and the materials used. Plus, people wrote about the building while it was being put up, and others photographed it. You're an indoctrinated, brainwashed idiot who believes everything he's told. Do your research. Well, then show me the research you have done that proves the Queen Victoria building was in existence before 1898. I haven't got time to do the work for you. You're just one of the sheeple. Open your eyes. People like you will pay the price at the day of judgment. Apart from everything else, this is also an example of denialism. If the real world proves that their fantasies are false, they simply ignore the real world. It is also an example of a self-perpetuating delusion, because anything that doesn't match their beliefs is taken as evidence that the information presented is engineered to be fraudulent, thereby confirming their belief that everything is fake and a cover-up to hide the truth. QED. In terms of research, and I use that term lightly, there's really only two avenues of research they do. One is to film old buildings and other various structures within their neighbourhoods and instantly proclaim them to be Tartarian. And secondly, as mentioned, they merely look at old photos they find on the internet and proclaim them to be examples of Tartarian architecture or buildings that have been mud flooded. So there's no point asking them to do research because they literally don't know how to. They haven't got a clue. They think that research means looking at photos and making up stories about them. Clearly then, the issue isn't about research. It is instead about who can tell the most fantastical story. The delusion is that they think they are doing advanced comprehensive study. However, their sources of information are generally Google Images, YouTube, Jesus speaking to them, or most commonly, their own imaginations. This doesn't stop them, though, talking with Dunning-Kruger authority on such topics as education, government, history, science, medicine, and so on, because they think they have been chosen to expose the lies. In anticipation of the mudflood Tartarian believers telling me in the comments section to do my research, I already have. This channel already features numerous videos that debunk mudflood and Tartarian beliefs. With such flimsy efforts at research, they cannot help but hold themselves up to endless ridicule. This then brings up the topic of how they deal with criticism. Put simply, these people do not handle criticism at all well, and they take it absolutely personally whenever you disagree with them. For them, you aren't criticizing their research, what there is of it, you are instead criticizing their feelings, their faith. This is why believers get so angry when you criticize their conspiracy theories. You are actually questioning their religion, their deeply held beliefs, the beliefs that make them feel special. With their feelings and faith questioned and criticized, instead of providing actual research to counter your doubts, they'll instead yell at you to do your own research. This is a strange commandment to make, considering that, if everything is fake, what do they expect us to research? Truth be known, when they command you to do your own research, what they are really commanding you to do is to wholeheartedly accept the fictions and fantasies they happen to personally believe in. When a person accepts make-believe to the point of dogma, paranoia, and belligerence, there must be a part of the brain, some kind of shutdown mechanism that blocks the real world from intruding. It's the same with all religious zealots. Their faith overrides reality. They cease being thinking individuals, instead become automaton mouthpieces, yelling and threatening their way through every discussion. After all the thousands and thousands of videos and websites on the subject of the mudflood and Tartaria and melted buildings and giants, what have these believers actually proved? The answer is, of course, nothing. The believers claim that there is a conspiracy to silence them and the truth, that everything has been faked and forged to hide the evidence, and that we are all just too stupid to see it for ourselves. These are weak excuses to hide the fact that they simply have no evidence. Like all conspiracy theories, mudflood and Tartaria are dead ends. They are not open to question or debate, or to have their dogmatic beliefs challenged. They are merely melodramatic sandboxes for people to play in who love to believe they are anointed, special, enlightened, superior.